What up? What up? What up? I'm making my lineup sheet and I'm getting into finishing it here on Macintosh numbers. So we're going to work on this. Um, okay, that's good. There we go. Everything looks good. Everything looks good. So this is my lineup setting sheet right here. The idea behind this is, let me do this real fast. Share screen, share screen, share screen. So the idea behind the lineup setting sheet, of course, is to have a good tool with which you can set your lineup. So this right here is what it will look like in the end. It'll show you your players, your percentages, your individual pitchers, their K per nine, swinging strike, all the stuff you want to know in a heads-up display. But it's all generated out of the publicly available information, of course, which is the fan graph. So I'm going to put this in. I don't think any of this is really worthy of using. Any numbers are really worthy until after the first or second week. So I have the backbones. Now I'm going to put the numbers in, and it will be able to show how we have our matchups for each week. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go use the publicly available information, which is fan graphs, and get what we need. So the idea is to make it easily usable by anybody and to be able to be fixed every week. So we want the schedule grid. Oh, probables grid, not schedule grid. Probables grid. Oh, roster resource. Taking his time today. Roster resource. Probables grid. Once we get this, we go download XLS. Boom. Bring this over here. Open it with our tool. All right, there we go. Now we'll be able to put all this information into, copy that information there, and now we will paste it into this. Boom. That's how all of these work. All of my systems work by just being able to import the information from Fangraphs. This one, I believe, this has been a year since I looked at this system. I believe this is, yeah, see what this one does is it breaks down, takes this Fangraphs information and it just parses the information into what can be read by further outputs in the form. So there it all is. So you just cut and paste the Fangraphs into there, boop, and then just always hide these columns. You know, nobody needs to see the mechanics here, bro. So there's that there, boom. So now you've got all your Fangraphs information. This is the actual calculator. So this is the probables from Fangraphs. Everybody's in there. So that is the good stuff there. There are some problems, a little bit of problems with the imports and some accents, but I'm going to fix those before too long. So that brings it over here, and it tells you the matchups for each day. So the matchups that we are using are going to be these matchups. So we're going to be analyzing matchups in terms of these matchups right here. Boom. So we're going to be taking ISO versus, going to be doing a power ISO versus home runs per nine per pitchers, hard hit versus hard hit for pitchers, Ks for pitchers, weighted on base versus XFIP, and fly balls, ground balls, hitters and pitchers. So what we'll be doing is we'll be inputting the handedness data for that. So the left and right handedness data, matchup data. So like what we importing Ronnie Acuna Jr. here, his data against right-handed Ryan Nelson. and then we'll be importing Ryan Nelson's data against right-hander Ronnie Acuna. So that will give us a little slightly more granular level of how these matchups will play out. And then what we do is we just we figure out the percentile that z-score is in. So we take the z-score of that pitcher data, and then we get the percentile of that z-score. That's all kept in this other file here. That's all kept in the registers. So we take the hitter and the pitcher data. We make it for right and left-handed, as you can see here. Right and left-handed, we assign, here's the raw data, then we assign a z-score to that data, and then we assign a percentiles to that z-score. We do the same thing with the hitter data, left and right-handed, and then we assign z-scores to that, and the percentile ranks to those z-scores, and then we're able to determine basically for those 5 factors, most efficient players who do that. So those are the registers. Those get made from the Fangraphs data. That gets all imported from here. Lefty hitters, righty pitchers. So that is what this thing does. It compares lefties and righties together so that we will be able to see a little closer matchup. So this tool right here pulls in the pitcher, his appropriate handedness, the hitter's appropriate handedness, and data, and then it compares them right here and gives you the rank on the day. It also has the ability to pull in switch hitter data in the appropriate way. It'll make your switch hitter hit in the right direction. It'll make the pitcher, it's got the right logic for the switch hitters. So that automatically will tell you who has the best matchup on that day. So like this one for today's games, the best match, this is off last year's data, I think, but it said that Ronnie Acuna Jr. had the best matchup, Pasquantini, Francisco Alvarez, Bobby Witt, Jared Young. Okay, that's fine. So then for any other day, you can just sort it, and it'll tell you who has this is the rank for who has the best matchup on that day. So that's kind of what you're trying to get to. So the best matchup on that day, of course, was Ohtani, Kyle Tucker versus Miles McCollum. Kerry Carpenter versus McGreevy had a pretty good matchup there, lefty on righty. Freeman versus McCollum. Moniak versus Nola. There must have been some spurious data. Riley Green, Colt Keith, Jonathan Aranda, all especially expected to have good days that day. So that's what this does. It'll show you that left-handed and right-handed matchups, and then it will show you the actual pitcher that it's against, and that way you kind of have some more granular data. So this is the actual calculator part of it. And this is the part that does the calculations for all 10 days. So we have the 10-day calculator. That's why this is called the 10-day. So the intention on this is to take the 10 days of forecasting data that is given by Fangraphs right here, and then use the 10 days of forecasting data to be able to see as far out in advance for these matchups for our hitters. So then we distill all this data down, and we get these calculators. We calculate out these matchups, right? And then we assign a value here. So the main tool that we'll be looking at here throughout the week to set lineups will be this tool. So what you'll be able to do here is you'll be able to input your players. So these are my players I've inputted. These are just autofill. Let's say another player I was interested here in having on my team is Zebby. We'll put Zebby Matthews on there. He might not be autofilling there. Let's put a player that we know is in there for sure. How about Taylor Ward? He's a good player. So put him in there, boom. And put him in the spec spot. He'll calculate in. So these are the players and the positions right here for your NFBC team. The idea is to be able to show you which of your players here, your starters, this is an actual NFBC team that I have, my actual team I'm most interested in. That's why it's in here. I'm trying to get this fleshed out so I can speak with my homie about lineup setting on this team. And it'll tell you these matchups here. So it'll show you Langoliers day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'll show you these segments Monday through Thursday, Friday through Sunday, the entire week. And then these later days here, this is mostly speculating on like fab. You want to have 10 days out for fab because you can also use this as a fab research tool um, to research where your fab might go and how to play your fab. You might want to have some information beyond the week that you're at. And then this right here is just the rank on your team. So you want to all be playing your high ranked guys. If you can, Brendan Donovan does not have a good matchup on Tuesday. So you just want to be aware of that. So that's what this is intended to do. And then this will show each player along the way. So the intention here is to show every player that you load in. Okay, Shea Langoliers, Logan Ohabe, Sal Stewart. Okay, these guys are loaded into here. Bear with me, this is not fully rewired yet. But then here come your values here for your TDK value number is going to be a 48 going against Christian Javier, Sutter Health Park. He's going to get a value of 48 for that. Going against Amai, 23. McCullers, 60. So these will be, you'll be able to see on these days where their matchups are. Let's look further down for one that's kind of still functioning from last year. Let's take a look at a Rosarena here. Okay, you can really see what's going on with a Rosarena here. Here you go. He's off on Monday. There's no data there for some reason. There he's got Jake Kakanowitz. Great matchup for the dude right there. Kakanowitz, he's not walking a lot of people, so that's a decent ball right there. So this is all green, pretty much green there for Randy. Boom. In days 1 through 4, he's looking pretty good. And then he gets into some tougher matchups here in these next weeks here. He gets to Grom, Evaldi, Mackenzie Gore. And so then he goes down. His hard hit rate goes down. His K percentage goes up. All of these matchups start to look less favorable. But he still has a 630 in that matchup for those 7 days because, I mean, those 3 days, days 5, 6, 7, you still have a favorable matchup. So you would probably play Randy or Rosarena there. You might consider Matt Wallner here against Mize, Scubel, and Valdez. I don't know why you would consider that. This is old data, that's why. But yeah, so this is what it'll allow you to do. It'll allow you to come in here and see each day what each player will have. And this will be the most recent Fangraphs data. I'm interested in building all of my data off 3 Fangraphs. So all of this is just, really it's just displaying the data that Fangraphs gives us, because here's their data. The only thing this is built off of is this data from Fangraphs, some StatCast data, some righty-lefty matchup data. Then you got to build the handedness data, have some park factors. And then you just got to bring it together. So I guess that's what I'm going to be working on here. Just tuning this thing up all the way and get it ready to be used next week. I actually want to get it to be ready to use for Fab on Saturday. I'm going to drop it. Should be released for Fab use on Saturday. It's really just some tedious parts right here, like figuring out whether Holt doesn't have a value because of last year. Sal Stewart, Brady House, they don't have values last year. Blaze Alexander does not have a value because of last year. So some of these players will just have to figure out why some of them are not being assigned any values. But other than that, should just be able to rewire this thing right here. This is the calculator right here. So this will show you Shea Langoliers, Tatsuya Mai in the hard hit matchups. I mean, Tatsuya Mai is showing that he's better at suppressing that than Shea Langoliers is at doing it. In K per K, they're showing that Shea Langoliers is better at not striking out than Amai is at striking him out. XFIP, they're showing it's pretty wash. Ground ball to fly ball, they're showing that my man Langoliers hits the ball in the air way more than this dude gets ground balls. Home runs and ISO, they're showing Langoliers hits the ball, has more ISO power than this guy has individual strikeout power. So these are like the comparisons that we're making that will give us an idea about how to set our lineups. The whole idea here is lineup setting. So um, once we get all of the information in here, the idea is to be able to compare your lineup, and then to be able to, that's what this section here is for. This is your lineup, this is your bench. You want to make sure you're not benching people you should be playing. Like Fraley looks like he has favorable matchups this week. You might want to look into that. Or you might want to try to understand, where your boy Brendan Donovan is having some problems right here. Or if Langford, if this is spurious data or that's just a bad matchup. So it just kind of draws your attention. And the way that you do that, you go Wyatt Langford, outfielder one. And you come down here to outfielder one, Wyatt Langford. And sure enough, he's got some tough, a little bit of a tough sledding here. Brett Lauder, Chase Burns. Could be a little tougher there for him. So figure it out. But yes, this was the lineup tool that we're making, and we're going to be releasing this weekend. Anybody have any input on what actually matches up well together and what stats to compare? I will take any input that anybody has in that regard. So, because that would make it much. I think I have the right stats, but I just want to make sure that the stats I'm having have the maximum amount of efficacy. It's hard to find a stat to use for stolen bases, but that was going to be included here on the side part of that will be included right here, stolen bases, stolen bases. So that way you'll be able to see heads up as well about kind of how many stolen bases you might be able to get with those type of players. With any one of your players here, like Langoliers, nothing. Ohape, nothing. Brendan Donovan, nothing. Miguel Garcia, Perdomo, yes. They're also going to show games lefty and righty, all of that. Chase Field, Park Factor. So this will be pretty easy to use during the year. I'm just going to get to the point of dialing this out here in a little bit. I'm actually just got a text that I need to go run a quick little errand. So I'm going to work on that, but I'm going to dial this out and I'll be dropping this soon. I'll set some lineups. Maybe if I have it dialed for tomorrow, I'll set my lineups with it in the morning. Anyway, get at me if you have any ideas in this regard, if you have any tools in lineup setting, or if you have any knowledge of intricate uses of Macintosh numbers. Anyway, back at you soon. And yeah, this is one of my best teams. I hope this team comes on. I'm looking for Yastrzemski to play the matchups there. Play some matchups with like Gabriel Arias. Hopefully Pavin Smith gets healthy, and hopefully Jock Peterson can hit a lot of bombs for this team.